What's up guys, thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. My name's Timothy, and on this channel I focus on tech tools and tutorials to help you create the best content for your YouTube channels and your productions. So if you're new here, hey, consider subscribing and sticking around. So today we're talking about the Panasonic GH5, and in my last video I did an initial impressions and review. The thing is, I was talking about the autofocus system on this, and as it got closer to the end of the video, and even at the beginning, once I got it into post, let's just say the whole video, the autofocus had issues. I thought that I had a really great system figured out for the GH5 and its autofocus, but it just turns out that I was wrong. And so you can see that whole video. I even had audio issues, and I found out what the problem was in that. Just the little cable that goes into the camera from my Rode VideoMic Pro, it just came unplugged slightly, and so it created really bad audio quality, and so that's my fault too. So I feel kind of bad about putting that episode out. I always try to create the best content that I can for you guys. That definitely really didn't meet my bar, but I wanted to get it out there anyway because I was really proud of the shots that I took. I wanted to give you an update to the autofocus system because I've been pretty much non-stop testing this thing, and I'm even going back and forth right now between the sun being behind me and in front of me. I've got a little variable ND filter on the front of this guy, so that's how I'm adjusting my exposure. But I wanted to talk to you about some settings that I found. I've been non-stop trying to figure this thing out to try to get the best settings for you guys, and I think that I've got it just about the best that I can. So really quick, just to tell you what all I'm shooting with here, I've got the GH5 obviously. I'm filming on a brand new 12mm lens. It's an f1.4. It's the Panasonic Sumilux lens. It just came in the mail yesterday. I'm super happy with this lens. It's definitely not cheap, but man, check out this bokeh behind me, just how kind of blurry this background is. I'm just really impressed with that, and really dialing the blurred background, the shallow depth of field. When you really dial that up, it actually makes the autofocus system work harder. So there again, I think it's doing a really good job since I've got such a separation going on here as well. So that's what I'm using there. I've got the VideoMic Rode VideoMic Pro up top, and I've got my audio, in-camera audio dialed down some, and my Rode mic is at 0 dB. So those are kind of just the initial, here's what all I'm doing. I do have a Tiffin variable ND filter, so that's what I'm spinning here as I'm walking back and forth between the sun being on my face and being behind me, just to try to help get even exposure. So autofocus, you're here for that, right? I've really been messing with this. I've tried so many different things. The settings that I used in my last video have been crap since then. When I was using it around my house, honestly it worked really well, but when I went out to the real world tests and started filming, it just wasn't working. Obviously you guys saw the last video. So here is the new setup that I have. I am using AFS. I do have continuous autofocus on in the settings, but on the back of the switch on the GH5 I have AFS set. I have been testing so many different options here for the past 2 days. I woke up this morning ready to edit out my final review of the autofocus with some settings that I think I have found that work really well. And I saw another video that came up today with the perfect autofocus settings, and I've been trying to replicate that all morning. I've tried all of the different settings. I've done a hybrid version of what I think is best with what they think is best. I mean, I could set a manual focus, but then I couldn't do things like lean into the camera or move around and have the autofocus actually track me. I'm looking over here to the screen because I want to make sure that all this is working. I apologize if I'm not looking at you all the time here. But, you know, coming back out and away from this, I want it to be able to adjust and find me and still have my face in focus and not this wall behind me, right? So I've tried tons of autofocus options. I have essentially two settings. One setting well, if you count manual focus, then 3 settings. But basically, one set of settings I'm using when I'm going around and I've got, different things to show, right? So like a vlogging setup. When I'm talking to the camera like this, and then I want to turn it, I want to move it around. I'm going to be lots of motion, that kind of stuff, and we've got a lot of things to see, a lot of things to do, right? And I'm moving the camera out, showing you things like my dog over here, just being absolutely lazy, or showing you out here, obviously really overexposed. Hang on, dial that aperture down a little bit for you. But yeah, like show you a landscape, or here's a little decoration. So I want to show you that. And I'm not pushing the shutter button at all here for any of this. It's just catching it, and then you're going to come back around and you want to talk to the camera again yourself, and it's going to catch it. So there's this setting which I'm using. Hold on, and put the tripod back up here. Tabletop tripod from Manfrotto. Love this thing. So there's this setting that I'm using that is really great for kind of run and gun, just grabbing different things and focusing on it. I think that it's working pretty stinking well. We'll see if this works, because I've tested this at least 30 times today to make sure I can get this right. But on the settings that I'm using right now, I have a custom autofocus point. So I'm using multi-point, all right, multi-point autofocus. I'm using AFS and multi-point. And I've used a custom setting. So I'm going to show you how to get into that setting in a second. But I've used it so that there's no autofocus points set. So the only thing on this screen is the very center blue cross. All right. Wherever that blue cross is facing is what's in focus. So I have to stay in the middle of the frame in order to get this to work. Now, if I was to move this slightly, even slightly, off of my face here, and try to show, maybe the background here. So I'm going to actually come up closer. You'll notice I'm not actually grabbing focus, right? I'm not in focus. The background's in focus right now, not me. If I move the camera so that I'm recentered in the frame and the blue cross is over my face, I come back in focus. You don't know how many times I have made this exact same take to make sure that this all works, and it hasn't worked, and then it has worked, and I finally got this setting so it has worked. I mean, literally all morning long I've been doing this, so I'm excited that little demonstration worked. Anyway, so that's the thing. You have to keep whatever's in the center of the screen, especially if you're using grid lines like I like to use in order to make, your thirds compositions. Whatever's in that center box, that's what's going to be in focus. And even sometimes not. Like, I'm still in the center box technically, but that blue cross is off my face. And when that blue cross leaves my face, there goes the focus. And so pulling that back around, blue cross directly on my glasses right now, and boom, it's there, right? So, all right, so going to the motion picture menu here, obviously we got the record quality and format, like I said, but we have the AFS AF, I have set to AFS. Continuous audio focus is on. Continuous AF. AF custom settings is off. Now, I have played with this so much, like really worn out all these settings. If I do use this, I use it in -2, -2, or -2, -3. Those are the only two options that I found that really work well for what I'm going for. It allows the background to not pulsate. When you see a lot of times autofocus does that. So, yeah. But for this particular setup that I've got right now, I've got it off. If you're curious about my photo style, it's natural, -5, -5. All right. Going back, I think that's all for this menu. Let's go down to the focus and shutter menu here. AF AE lock is AF on. Shutter autofocus on. Quick autofocus on. Eye sensor autofocus on. pinpoint autofocus settings is set to short. Sometimes I put that on mid, but it's short right now. The autofocus assist lamp, I actually usually turn that off because I hate that. Focus release priority, I have the AFF on focus and AFC on balance. AF plus manual focus. This is depending on if you want to grab the lens and also be able to do manual focusing while you have autofocus on. This is a use by use setting for me. I'll change it once in a while. Then the rest is manual function operations. So that's what I've got going on for that. Now let's go back out to the menu, because this is where it's really important to catch this. All right. You need to go to, let's see if I can, I'm going to bump the ISO up. Well, let me turn the light on. Hang on. All right, I'm just going to bump the ISO up for just a second here. So what I want to show you is these buttons right here. Now, I haven't changed the function buttons at all. But for me, this right here brings up the quick menu, F2. And I'm on custom multi. Okay. Now you can go through one area, pinpoint. I think that one area is what I used last time. Didn't have great results. The pinpoint, still, I think that works pretty well, but custom multi is what we got right here. Now, the thing is, when you select this is really, really important. This makes or breaks this whole thing. You need to go to function F3. It's this button right here. You select it, and this is where you can select your custom spots. You need to hit select save, and then this is what it's normally on, the central pattern. And that's where, you know, if you have the screen, you see this, you can make that wherever you want. You can touch it around the screen, you can move it, you can make it bigger and smaller, however you want, right? That doesn't work very well for this particular setting. So you need to go in to custom multi, function 3, like I said. Then you want to go to select and save, and then C1, or if you have another, you know, just a blank one, you'll notice right here there is no focus point set up right here at all. I'm just going to try to get that zoomed in. There you go. So there's no highlighted focus point. You can go to the AF area button here and select where you want those to be, but we don't want any, so we're going to reset that. And as soon as you've got that set to no focus points, you need to hit save, and then save it to whatever custom slot you want. So custom 1, and that'll be where it's at. Now you hit set, and you have this entire screen with no focus points. And you can touch, this is what I said earlier, when the touch screen, touch to focus is not working, it doesn't matter. You're not gonna grab any points here. And that's gonna allow the camera to do the best it can, pretty much. So again, I don't know that these are the best settings, but this is what I found. And yeah. So the other thing that I will do sometimes is just a little added bonus here. I will go to the pinpoint, or I will do custom multi, and when I do the custom, I do this one here, the central pattern, and I hit set, and then I can drag this around. And I generally try to do this when I drag up to create a better composition. So when I'm trying to get my composition where the thirds lines and lower thirds, basically. So I'll try to grab that into one of these corners, and then once it's there, I hit set, and now my focus points are only going to grab if they're around that area. So if I'm doing a talking shot and I put my head right here, then I half press the shutter button, and boom, it's locked into my face for that. And that's where a lot of times I will go into the settings, and when I'm doing that mode particularly, I come in to here, hang on, first page, custom autofocus settings, and I set that to -2, -2, or -2, -3. And once I've done that, it prevents the drifting. so it kind of locks on a lot better. All right, so here's a quick example of the other method that I was telling you about, where I have the focus points on just one side. I know the angle is really terrible, sorry, but I'm just got the camera here on my desk. But yeah, you'll see that it's locked on to just this side of the frame. Now, if I touch the screen, and let me actually grab my other camera here. I'm gonna do a little inception business going on here, but for example, if I touch this screen here and I touch it over to this point, to the other side, away from where I am, and hit set, and then I half press the shutter button, because I don't think it's going to go there automatically. Yeah, it's not. But if I half press the shutter button, it's going to find points over there. So I'm no longer in focus, right? Not in focus anymore. I'm going to touch the screen again, back over to where my face is, hit set, and half press, and then I'm in focus. Now I can also, in this mode, switch to continuous autofocus, and it's going to kind of track me a little bit in this area. So if I move over here, you'll notice it is going to try to focus in on me. Even though my focus points are still set to the opposite side of the screen, I'm in focus. And if I come back out and come back over here to where my original autofocus points are set, given time, it should grab again. And it's going to take a little bit. It's going, and there it went. So, yeah. So that's just a little quick demo of the other option. I use this whenever I am trying to create a little bit different composition. I'm going to stop this other camera now. So anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to tap the center screen here again, get it set up back to the center. I think that overall it's got some good things going for it. It's also difficult, right? It's difficult at times. So it's not 100%, as I've said, but it's still a great camera, and I think that with the upcoming firmware upgrades in the future, hopefully Panasonic is listening to us and helping out with some firmware upgrades. So that's the best I can do right now, guys. I hope it's been helpful to you. Like I said, I still encourage you to pick up this camera and give it a go, because it is phenomenal. It is a tremendously powerful camera. So links in the description if you do want to pick one up. I also recommend this guy if you don't want to spend the full amount on the GH5, the G85. Fantastic camera. I've been using it exclusively for the YouTube channel the past 4 or 5 months since it's come out. I think it came out in September, and it's been a beast. So I love that little guy. It's now my B-roll camera. So anyway, I hope it's been helpful, guys. What kind of settings are you using? Are you going to pick up the GH5? Has the autofocus scared you away, or are you still happy with its capabilities and other things? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what settings you're using. I'd like to try them out. If you've got a GH5 and you're messing around with autofocus settings, drop me a comment down below. I'm always up for trying new things. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next video.